Knowing how to prepare for a raid in Delta Force operations and also what to do with all your loot afterwards can be a bit overwhelming when you first start playing. As a day one Delta Force player, I've put together this guide to help out all the new console players, walking you through pre and post raid setup, all done on the Xbox version of the game to help get you started. These tips of course are also all still valid for the PC and mobile versions of the game, so stay tuned to find out what meds you should be taking, where to get cheaper armor, and of course what to sell and what to keep. So by default, you're probably going to be empty like this, or maybe have the stuff from the tutorial on you. We're just going to start from empty, and we'll go and select a map that we want to play. Most people are going to be on zero damn easy, so we will do that. You can play normal mode as well, and then there's hard mode of other maps a little bit later on. You have to be higher level to play the other modes. So you can see normal here, you need to be level 12. You can see your character level down in the bottom right hand corner of the screen when you're on the main page, and you level up by completing raids and also by completing missions, which you can find in the departments and the missions tab here. They give a lot of XP and can level you up very quickly. The higher difficulty modes will have better loot, and also you're going to have better geared players in there. For normal and hard mode, they have minimum entry values. You can see 112,500. That's how much we need in gear value to be able to enter. So that's the stuff you're wearing and your gun. But for easy mode, there's no entry value, but there is a max tier of stuff you're allowed to take in. So we'll select easy and go to gear up. That's going to take us to this page here. And then to get ready for a raid, we can either go to loadout by pressing Y, or we can get ready via our stash page, which is here. I'll just show you the loadout page first. That looks like this. That's probably what most people use. I tend to use stash because I like being able to just see everything that I have on the right hand side, but I'll show you how this works quickly. For easy mode, we can take a maximum of purple tier armor, so that's tier 4 armor. It goes gray, green, blue, purple, gold, red, and then a maximum of blue ammo, so that's tier 3 ammo, tier 4 armor. So you see, if I go and select a helmet here, these are ones that I own, so we can just click whatever helmet we have, go to vest, click one here. But if I selected like a gold vest here and we try to queue into easy, it's not going to let us go into that because of some of the stuff we're trying to take in with us. So just keep that in mind when you're playing in easy mode. We go back to loadout, we can unequip these by hovering over them and pressing Y. So by clicking each of these slots, you can select bag, you can select rig, you can select your armor. And then over on the right hand side, you can select guns. This will bring up stuff that you own here. You can see here the ones that I've got in my inventory. I can select this Vector or whatever. Then if I've selected a gun here, I can then click ammo, and that's going to show me the ammo that I own that is appropriate for that gun. So .45, and it says in the bottom right here how much I own of that ammo type. So the blue ammo here, I've got 180 of that in my inventory that I can use. Or the purple ammo, I've got 256. If I want to take this, I can just click it. It's going to pull it in straight from my stash without buying it. But if I wanted to use like green ammo, for example, for some reason, then it'd actually have to buy that. And so if I click that, you can see it's got this little yellow shopping trolley icon, and that's going to buy it when I click this button in the bottom right. It's going to cost me about 5,000. So if we just go back from that, you can do the same with meds. Meds here, it's going to show me what I own. So I own 3 of these field med crates. I own 1 cat tourniquet, so I could select this. I could select this surge kit. That's going to go in my safe box because we've got nothing else equipped. But if I selected something I don't own, then that's going to give that little icon and it's going to buy the stuff we need. If you're on this loadout page, as well as setting up your loadout and being able to access gear sets, you can also access the loadout page. If we hold down X, you can see in the bottom left of the screen, tells you the button. That's going to take us to this page. And this is really useful for quickly getting into raids, taking out that time before games. What you can basically do here is this top one will always say previous loadout, and that's going to let you buy whatever you had on you the last time you did a raid. So this is just whatever you used last raid. If you died, you can just rebuy what you had before, and it's going to be a nice quick way of doing that. It would have the buy button in the bottom right and say how much that costs. You can also adjust these by clicking these boxes. If I click Y on Xbox, that's going to remove that helmet. Then if I click in that slot, we can select the helmet that we want to take with us by using the D-pad. Say we wanted to take in this gold helmet, we can click that. But also we could do purchase different durabilities. So it says Y down the bottom. If I press Y instead of A, it'll let me choose between new, nearly new, and damaged, so we can buy a slightly cheaper one if we want for that loadout. Press A to select that. You can see now that's got that yellow shopping trolley icon. That means if I was buying this loadout, that's something it's going to need to buy. Whereas stuff that doesn't have that icon means I already own it, so we wouldn't need to buy any of this other stuff. So that's previous loadout. That is very handy. And then these 4 here, these are all custom slots you can set up. So I've actually named these. These are ones I've made in the past. And what you could do is find one of these and you can customize things. You can see the buttons down the bottom of the screen. We could completely clear this out, set it up however we wanted. We could put in a new gun here, for example, and you can also select loadouts here. So if I was selecting, say, a Vector, I can actually click in the left stick and that's going to bring up this menu here, and I can select one of my loadouts for it, and then it's going to use that loadout when it buys that rather than just a base Vector. And then as before, I can click through here, I can select what a helmet, vest, armor, bag, etc. we want to bring. And then you can also click meds at the bottom here to add the meds that you want to add in, very much like the other loadout page, your repair kits, etc. And then you can also do the same with ammo and select the ammo you want it to buy for that loadout. Then just go to save in the bottom right and you can name this as whatever you want to call it, and then that'll be saved and you can just buy that loadout. So these are really worth setting up with some generic loadouts that you like using, even setting them up with, like, without a gun in the slot. So you just have the basics in there, like your rig, your meds, your repair kits, and the armor you like. And then if you die, you can grab that and then just chuck whatever gun you want to use, something like that. So like I said, you can get ready from there. You can also select gear sets from there if you don't want to use stuff in your stash. Gear sets basically are free sets of gear you can run with. If you click gear set here, you can see I've got 10 recruits, 5 standards, and 5 elites. They get progressively better. By selecting one of these, it's just going to equip me with whatever it's got here. So we'll select this one in the middle. It's going to give me this bison one. If I go back, you can actually re-roll these. We take that gear set off for a minute, go over this refresh icon in the top right, click that. It's going to say it's going to cost 2,000 alloy to re-roll that, and it'll give you a different one. There's 2 or 3 different options for each box. And these recruit ones will just keep topping up automatically. Standard and elites you tend to get from daily login events and from the season pass, stuff like that, and they're a bit better. And these are a great way of making money because they're basically free, and if you lose it, then you've lost nothing. But if you extract with it, then you get to keep the stuff that it came with as well, which can be quite useful. You can't modify these loadouts. So if I go in with this Vitsjaz loadout, for example, then we just go to the stash here, you can see all the boxes are grayed out. So I can't drag anything in to this loadout. I can't take in, some different ammo or a different med because it's all locked. But what you can do is take stuff in your safe box. So I could actually put in a fancy med in here and some painkillers or a different repair kit or something like that. What I'd recommend if you're running any of these gear sets is normally taking in some better ammo with you. You don't have to worry so much if you're running recruit runs, but really there's not much excuse for running lower than blue ammo. Blue ammo is very cheap to buy in this game and it's much better than green or gray. And most of these gear sets seem to come with kind of rubbish ammo. Like, I wouldn't want to run this blue gear and this SG and then green ammo would be pointless. You might as well equip that. So we've got this gear set equipped. That's got 5.56 green ammo. And then if I just go to auction and ammo, and we find 5.56, we can actually find the blue 5.56 and we could buy some of that. And you can see I can buy 200 of that for 100,000 to 110,000, not a lot of money. And I can buy that if we want. Go back to my stash, that's going to be in here, and then I can just put that in my safe box. I can actually just tap X, and that should put it straight in. And then when we get into a round, we can just dump this green ammo or move it into my bag, and then reload it into the SG. If we didn't want to use a gear set and we're getting equipped manually, I'll just show you that. We can just chuck on some gear here again that we had. When you're selecting vests and armor, they have different attributes. They cover different parts of your body. If we click on this vest, it's going to give us details on it. You can see it says protection level, durability, and then armor effect. They can have negative effects on your aiming speed and your movement speed, different types of armor. And they also have different efficiencies for how well they repair. We won't worry about that for the minute. And then they also protect different parts of your body. So this elite vest here, for example, this protects your chest and your abdomen. But if we go down to the warrior vest here, this will just protect your chest. You also get armor that might protect your shoulders as well. If we go to auction and look at gear and find vests, you can see stuff like, this heavy assault vest obviously has shoulder protection. If we scroll down, you can see it's got chest, abdomen, and shoulder. But also at a big negative cost your aiming speed and movement speed. Likewise for helmets, they have different pros and cons. Lots of them have different hearing buffs. You can see this one here has a plus 20% hearing range buff. This one here has a plus 50% hearing range buff, which is pretty insane, makes that a really good helmet, but it is a bit weaker than the other one, so there's always a trade-off. We can equip that, then we want to grab a bag and a rig. We've got this one here and a rig here, and then we want to chuck in a gun. This is just a Vector I have knocking around, so we'll just chuck that in for an example. If you don't have any armor or don't have the armor you want, there's a couple of different ways to acquire it. If we go to the auction tab at the top and then go to gear, and then ballistic vest, you can see them all listed here and how much they cost. If I go to this DT AVS vest, for example, brand new, that's 150,000. It's got 100 durability. If I wanted to buy it, 176k, but if I click exchange, I can actually exchange it in my supply station for 23% less. So if I just buy these 3 items here, I can do that automatically with refill. It's going to buy them for 135k. We can click exchange and that would buy it for me. You'll gradually unlock more options in your supply station by leveling up your missions here, like Medical Bay, TAC Warfare Unit, Assault Battalion, etc. And that's going to unlock more stuff in your supply stations that you can see here. There is another way to get armor cheaper though. If we select this vest again, you can see 176k. But up here, we've got these tabs here, like new and damage. So if I go up here and select like new, the cost of that is going to go to 109,000, so 60k cheaper, and it's got a little bit lower durability. So for losing 15 max durability, we can get that loads cheaper. And again, if we go to damage, we can get one for 80,000. It's only going to have 70 durability, so not great, but it is very cheap. So that can be a really great way to buy armor. You can see it takes off a big amount of money for pretty much anything. And you can also do that with helmets as well. So go to helmets, you can see like this GT1, 153k new. If I go to like new, we can buy it for half price for 75k. So a massive amount off. And that's got 40 durability compared to 48 on a fresh one. These prices will vary. They won't always be the same, but keep an eye on them because when you see stuff for a good price, it can be worth buying a few of those for the next few raids. If you want to buy a new gun or customize an existing one, you can either buy guns from the auction page in the firearms tab, but what I tend to do is go over to the gunsmith tab. Here we can see all our guns selected here in all. If we move over with right trigger, we change that to filter it by rifle, SMG, shotgun, etc. If we put it on the rifle tab here, what it's going to do is show us our owned guns first. So that's the guns that are in my stash somewhere. This KC-17, these 3 different CI-19s, K4, and the Ash 12. Below that are just all the other guns in the game, and also the ones that I already have there. Basically, if I select these ones I own, I can then modify the ones that I have already. You can see all the attachments on it here. You just click in the slot where you want to change an attachment, say barrel, check out the different barrels. You can see how much they cost. Add those on, and then once you've done that, you can either click Y to purchase that or go into the firing range, and then you can test out that gun and see if you like it before modifying it and deciding if you want to buy it. You can also save loadouts once you've made a configuration you like. Go over to the loadout tab here, and then you can see current modification, go down, hit save, and we can save that in a slot, and then you'll have that for whenever you want to use it. You can also import other people's codes. It's a bit fiddly on console at the moment because the codes are quite long, but if you do want to import gun codes, go to import here, and then you've got to paste in the codes here. But like I said, they're this long, so they're a ball ache to type out on console. Hopefully they'll come up with a better solution for that. But if you do want to import gun codes, you can do that there. I've got some of mine on my Discord server in the Delta Force gun builds room, so check that out if you want to see my gun builds. So that's modifying an existing weapon, and for buying a new one, it's pretty much the same. I can select something like this AS Val, for instance. This isn't a gun I own at all, but I can still open that up. I can put whatever attachments I want onto it, try out that build, create something, or I could import a build, and then you can just do purchase or go into the firing range, and then that will buy that. It'll tell you how much that gun's going to cost, plus all the attachment costs, and then buy that, and that's going to then just appear in your stash, and you can equip that gun. Then for equipping your other stuff, when you put things into your rig or into your pocket, which are these 5 slots here, you can then quick use them in game. That means that's the ammo you can automatically reload from, and meds that you'll see pop up in your little med Hot Wheels. So if I take ammo for this Vector, for example, we got some blue ammo here. I can drag this over to my pocket. If we leave this in my pocket, then that is going to be available for reloading in-game. If I moved it down into my bag, then it wouldn't be available to reload. I'd have to move it manually onto the gun or into my pocket or rig in order to reload with it. So keep that in mind. Also, if you're taking expensive ammo, try and keep some of it in your safe box. Blue doesn't really matter too much, but if you're running purple, you wouldn't want to sit there with like 4 stacks of purple ammo in your inventory, because every stack of purple ammo is going to be about, what, 80k for this. You can be a lot more than that, and gold ammo obviously can be even more. What you want to do is keep some of that ammo in your safe box, and then when you start running low, move it out your safe box and get it ready to use. That way, if you die, you're minimizing your losses. Touching on safe box briefly while we're here, this is the 3x2. You get this by buying the season pass. Each season, you'll have that for the whole season. Once you've bought that, by default, you have this 1x2. You can also get a 2x2 through the pass at certain junctures and through certain events. And then the 3x3 you can unlock by completing all the seasonal missions, and you'll have that unlocked until the end of the season, and then you'll have to do all the new seasonal missions in the next season to get that again. That's ammo. Like I said, I recommend always running blue or above. There's not really much reason to run green or grey. Blue is relatively cheap and you can normally afford it, and that's going to help you fight against people with better armor and penetrate the armor and do more damage and win those fights. So when you're trying to decide what meds you should take, there's a couple of different things to consider. Some meds will just heal your HP and some will heal wounded body parts. There's two different ways of having a wounded body part. There's basically a wound, which is less serious, and then a fracture or a fully damaged body part, which is more serious. If you just have a wound, that's going to be indicated at the bottom of your screen by this little arm with the bandage on it icon. You can see here, heals a wound. And you can heal these very quickly using cheap cat tourniquets. Some higher tier meds for HP, such as the outdoor med crate, will also heal a wound when you use them. Same for the field med crate. So if you're going to use an outdoor med crate to heal HP and you have a wound, you don't need to use a cat tourniquet as well. If you have a fracture, then you'll need to use a surge kit for it. You either have the simple surge kit, the TAC quick use surge kit, or the deck field surge kit. You can see the fracture icon or the damaged body part icon is this arm, this bicep with the broken bone in it. If you have a more serious fracture like that, then you'll have to use one of these three things in order to heal it. You can't heal those with the tourniquets. The surge kits are all basically the same thing, except the higher tier ones will heal quicker and they'll also have more uses. So you can use the deck up to 7 times in one game, for instance, and it takes 5 seconds each, whereas the simple kit takes 10 seconds and only has 2 durability. So what this means really is if you're running something like the outdoor med crate or the field med crate, the expensive ones, then you probably don't need to worry about the cat tourniquets. But if you're running cheaper meds, which a lot of you are going to be, it's a good budget friendly way to play the game, just going in running a field first aid kit and a TAC surge kit, and then along with that stick in a cat tourniquet as well, because then if you get a wound you can heal that in 2 seconds using the cat rather than taking a lot longer using the TAC surge kit, and that's going to save uses on that as well. And these are also just very, very cheap. So with these 3 meds plus a painkiller, you're going to get by fine in a lot of raids. On top of that, it's probably worth having a painkiller of some kind. You can either take the DVE painkiller or the cheap bottled antibiotic. They have the same effects, it's just that the purple one lasts longer. What this will do is if you have a break or a fracture in game, this will mean you'll ignore the effects of that for the duration of the painkiller. So it will normally blur your screen, it will make you move more slowly, it will affect your ADS speed. If you have painkillers active, then that won't affect you until that runs off. So they're very useful. And then you'll also want to have repair kits as well. This allows you to repair your armor mid-game, so I can select purple repair kits here. You want to make sure your repair kits are always the same tier or higher than your armor. You don't want to use blue repair kits on purple armor. It just won't repair hardly anything at all. It's not worth it. So just make sure you always match at least the repair kit to the armor tier, or you can use higher. You could use a gold repair kit on a purple helmet. There's no reason not to do that. Now we've got pretty much everything we want to go into a raid with. We also want to load some ammo into our gun, and we don't actually have very much ammo for this. The Vector's got a very high rate of fire. We probably want some more ammo. So we can just select it here, click A on the Vector, go to ammo. That's going to take us straight to this page, and we can select the blue ammo here that we want to take and buy 200 of that. Why not? You can see there's 2 different types of blue ammo for this. There's RIP and then the normal ammo. RIP, you can see, has pen level 0. So this is really bad at penning armor, but it does more significant damage when you're hitting unarmed parts. So limbs and also areas with broken armor. But we're not going to worry about that too much for now. We've just bought some normal ammo. We'll go back to our stash again. You can see we've got more of this FMJ. We want to load some of that into the Vector. There's none actually loaded in at the moment. And then I might as well put a little bit of this in my safe box because we're carrying kind of a silly amount of ammo there. Like I said, not too worried about blue. Then look at what else you've got that is worth money. You might want to safe box. This standard helmet repair kit is worth 50k. That's probably worth doing. And this vest repair is worth 70k. So for now, that's fine for me. If you had better tier ammo, then I'd move more of this ammo into my safe box. But now we're basically good to go into a raid. We can go back to start. If we select squad fill, then that's going to automatically fill our squad out with random other players that are playing in squad fill. If we don't have that ticked, we're going to go in as a solo or as a duo if you were teamed up with one teammate. Having ranked ticked or unticked doesn't make any difference to your matchmaking or the lobbies you get. There's no ranked lobbies. But if you have rank ticked, then your rank score can go up and it can go down. So just keep that in mind. In easy mode, your rank score can only go up a certain amount. Once you're above a certain tier, then you can't get rank points by playing easy. You'll have to play in normal or hard. Mine's already above that, so that's why it says no score. And then if you want to team up with your teammates, you can go to social down the bottom here or hit Y. And then you can click here to invite, or if we press here, you can see my friends list. We can add people by searching by player name or their UID. You can see your UID in the top left of the screen. It's a very long number, so probably just search by player name. Remember, you can add people on mobile and PC as well. It's all shared across. If I go to friends here, you can see, for example, got some of my pals on here. If I click one of their images, it's going to give me some different buttons. This one here with the little flag, that's for inviting them. That will invite them to join my team. I can also click to delete them as a friend, to look at their gamer profile, to send them a message in-game, or give them a little thumbs up. Once they're in your team, they'll appear on the left here. You can also view recent players that you've played with or against or in squad fill. And there's this squad up tab where you can find people who have posted on there looking for a team, or you can post yourself to try and find a team on that as well. So I'll just skim through a raid and then we'll jump to the post-raid sequence and just talk about what to do with all the stuff that you have in your inventory after you've finished a raid. So once you're out of a raid, things can get a bit confusing as to what you should sell, what you should keep, what you should quick sell, what you should auction. So let me run through what to do. This is my inventory as I've just finished a raid. You can see I'm full up of stuff here. Got some basic gear on me, some slightly damaged armor. What you can do is immediately when the raid finishes, it gives you the option to move all back to your stash. You can do that there, or you can ignore that and come back to your stash page where I am now. I also still have the option to move all. You can see at the bottom of the screen, I can hold Y. That will move everything from my stash into my inventory. I don't usually tend to do that because that's going to move all of my ammo and my meds as well that I might want to use in the next raid, but we'll just do that to keep things simple here. You can see at the moment my stash is relatively neat and empty. There's just a few items in it, so let's just move all of that stuff out of my inventory to clear that. And then what we can do on the right hand side here, this is my main stash page, so I can double click this sort stash button and that's just going to sort that page for me. It's going to put all this stuff into order, or if I want to single click the sort stash button, that will bring up these options and I can select which of my boxes I want it to sort, and then when I press X here, that's going to sort all of those boxes. That'll also move stuff automatically into boxes that it can go in, like this ammo crate. Some of it's gone in there. By boxes, what I mean are these expansion crates. You get these as you upgrade your black site. Don't worry about them too much at the moment. You won't have access to them, but once you begin to upgrade your black site and upgrade your stash, you can then buy expansion crates, which you'll find in the department's supply station tabs, such as these gear crates here. You can find them here. You'll get access to these and the better tier ones by completing missions in game and leveling up your supply stations. So that's by doing these missions here, like Tremor Crisis, Lifeline, Asara, etc. Level up those. That'll give you access to better expansion crates. Don't worry about that too much for the minute though. We're just going to look at what else you should do once you've finished a raid. So first up, we got damaged armor. You can see here on the left, this helmet and vest slightly damaged. If I click on that, I can then repair this. You go down to repair here. I'm using the left stick, or you could use the D-pad to select these as well. Then on this page, you'll probably just have basic repair available. Intermediate repair is unlocked by upgrading your firing range and your black sight. Premium repair is not available at all at the moment. And just select whichever one of these you want to use. The intermediate is a little bit more efficient and slightly cheaper. It's a bit weird how this works. If you use the cursor, it gets a bit confused. Like you think pressing A there should repair it, but it doesn't. So use the D-pad. You can press up and down, and then if you press the D-pad and then press A, then that'll work, and that's going to repair that helmet. When you repair armor, it's going to lose a bit of max durability. So you see this vest, for example, is on 59 out of 68. If we go down to repair, and we intermediate repair that, it's going to get -3 max durability, so that's going to go down to 65, which is a little on the low side, but we could still use that. If we felt it was really trash, like below 50, we could probably just sell that and get rid of it. You can also see I've got a gun that I picked up in raid here. I can move this over to my stash by tapping X, and then if I go down to it, it's still got ammo loaded into it. So I'm going to click on it with A and then go to unload ammo, and that ammo's come out here and it's stacked it automatically into my stash. This green ammo I don't want. I never use green ammo, basically only going to use blue. So we'll just grab this and sell it. If we go to sell, there's two options. One's auction, one's supply station. There's not much increase in price for auction for this, and we're not selling much. I'm just going to quick sell that, and we can select this other stack and just quick sell that as well. And then if we go back to my stash and look at all the stuff I brought out of that raid, we can decide what to do with it. So generally, you don't really need to hoard stuff in this game. What I'd say is if there's missions you're doing when you need to collect stuff, if you're doing the seasonal missions where there can be collector's missions where you need to submit items, those are obviously things that you're going to want to hold on to. Another thing that can be worth holding on to is black site upgrade materials. So this is my PC account or my cross-platform account, so it's already quite high level. But what you want to do is have a look at your black site, see what you need for your next upgrade. So I need these items here. If you need lower tier stuff, you can click that, star it so it's added to your favorites, and then maybe you could hold on to that stuff, and that's going to be a little bit cheaper than buying it. But pretty much anything you collect in game and sell. If you do decide to sell it because you need some money, you can always just buy it back from auction later when you need that for an upgrade. So stuff like this, I would probably sell it all. The handsaw is one of the collector's items for this season's missions, but I've done all those. And what we can do here is select individual items and go sell. And if there's a decent gap between supply station is just instant sell, auction is list it on the auction house and it will sell over a period of time. But there is a fee involved for that. So this will sell, that sells for a bit more. We can go to list, and then we can also just knock the price down a tiny bit, and then that's going to help it sell a little bit more quickly as well. If that doesn't sell within 24 hours, then we'll need to go to our auction and go to list, and it will be here and it will say expired, and you'll have to manually remove it from that slot. Otherwise, that's going to take up an auction slot for you. When you're selling stuff in your stash, you can also just click in the right stick to quick sell rather than pressing A and then selecting sell here. We can just hover over the item, click the right stick, and that'll take us straight to this menu here. This handsaw here, we can go to sell on that. It says reference price 47,000, but under sell, it's actually selling for 35 at the moment. 38 auction, not really worth auctioning, I would say. So we'll just quick sell that. For stuff that isn't worth auctioning, when you've got a bunch of, you can see we've got loads of little items here that I know aren't really worth auctioning. We can go down to batch sell at the bottom, press that with A, go back to where we found these items, and then we can actually select a bunch of these things that we want to quick sell that I know the values of, and we've selected all that, and then just go to sell at the bottom, or you can hold down Y, and then it's going to ask you to confirm, and you can sell all of that stuff in one go. And then we can just double click this again, and that's going to sort my stash again. This gun here isn't one I'm going to use, but stuff I would recommend hanging on to is often going to be guns, ammo, and armor. Ammo you think you might use, guns you think you might use, and armor you think you might use. If it's stuff you're not going to use, just sell it. If it's damaged, you won't be able to sell it for very much, so it might just be worth using. But this gun, for example, this SG isn't one I'm going to use, so I'm going to go to sell and then auction house, and you can see it's got all its attachments listed underneath here. And what you can actually do now is if we just highlight this little minus here and tap that, that's going to reduce the auction listing price on every attachment on it by an amount rather than having to go through and do it individually on all of them. Then if I click list, that's going to list this gun and then all these individual attachments as individual listings in the auction house. But what I want to do is untick these bottom three because they're ones that aren't really worth auctioning and they're just going to waste slots and not make me any money and maybe not sell. So we'll just do that. Go to list, and it's going to dump those attachments that we just deselected into my inventory here, and we can see those here. That's this one, this tack stock, this mag, and this holographic sight, and we'll just sell those. Obviously, you don't have to do this after every game. You can kind of just let your stash fill up and then deal with it when it gets full. You can also manage this page with a mouse on console. You can't use mouse and keyboard in a raid, but you can plug a mouse into your console and do this part of it with a mouse if you find that easier, but I think you'll probably get used to this pretty quickly. As for other items you might want to keep, I've got a load of gold stuff I'm hoarding here. Every season when we have new seasonal missions that help you unlock the 3x3 safe box, they often have gold items that you need to extract from raids and submit as unbound items. So hoarding a bunch of random gold items can often be quite useful. When you go into the next season, you might actually have some of those collector's items stored in advance and it can just save you a little bit of time. So I tend to hoard a few random gold items just in case, and then you can always just sell them if you need any money. Likewise, other things you might want to use like premium coffee beans and these gold havoc files, they're items you can't buy at auction. You can only find them in raid, and they're used to craft high level stuff in your black site. So red armor for the premium coffee beans and red bags for the confidential files. So they're not really worth selling because they're quite hard to get hold of, and I just keep them and I'll craft them into the items when I want to use them. Another good tip is also to check the usage of stuff. So for example, if you click on any item and then go to usage, it's going to tell you exactly what that can be used for. So you can see this can be used to make premium fuel, and premium fuel is a component that you can find in your collectibles here, and that's actually used to craft gold ammo. So coffee beans, very useful for crafting gold ammo, worth hanging on to. If we click like some of this weird stuff down here from one of the recent events, that doesn't have any usage. They're purely just collectibles, so they're really just for display purposes, or you can just sell them. Again, we can also do that on items like this. We can go to this e-router, go to usage, and that's going to tell us we can use it for various black site stuff. It doesn't tell you what, just tells you it's used for black site construction. Also for exchanging for items in the T&E lab at the moment for a limited time event. We can go to the radio here, go to usage, and that's going to tell us it's used for black site. Again, this gunpowder is another one that's got good usage. You can see it's used to craft lots of ammo. What you tend to find with regards to pricing is items that have a lot of usage for different things will sell for higher than their recommended price. So gunpowder is a good example. The supply station offer is quite low, but because this is used for crafting so much stuff, more people want to buy it, so it's actually worth selling at auction because it will sell for a bit more. If an item suddenly gets added to like a new black site upgrade or a new item in game, then its price can really rocket up and it will sell for a lot. Just keep in mind, when you list things at auction, you pay a fee when you list them. So when you're selling really expensive things at auction, like red items, if it only sells for a tiny bit more than the supply station offer, it's often worth just selling red items for supply station rather than listing it. So if I find something a little bit more expensive here, like this drip coffee, and we went to auction that, obviously if you're going to sell this, you would auction it because you can see it sells for tons more than the supply station offer. But you can see if we hover over this, when we put this up for auction, it's going to take 6,700 credits, whether that sells or not. And if you're selling an item for 1 million or 2 million, that can be hundreds of thousands of credits. So you don't want to list it and then it not actually sell, and then you've wasted 200,000. So do keep that in mind when you're listing things at auction. So that's everything that I wanted to cover today. Hopefully you found some of that useful. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below or stop by my live stream. I stream most weekdays on YouTube and Twitch. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Ben. We are the Beard Guys, and I'll see you next time.